Hi, I'm Miss Teresa and welcome back to Make It Monday at the Box Springs Library. Today I'm going to show you how to knit this perfect pumpkin for your holiday feast. So if you're ready, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started on the supplies you're going to need. You're going to need a knitting machine. This is a 48 needle Centro that we have available at the library. So if you need to come and use it, it is available in our Discovery Lab Makerspace. So come by and check us out. So you will need a knitting machine or a knitting loom. You can also use it with a knitting loom. We also have those available at our makerspace. You're going to need some polyfill. This is some I just had left over. So you will need that. You will need some yarn, any color you want. You can do white. We've had white pumpkins. This is a lighter shade of orange than this one, so it's up to you. You're going to need the knitting needle itself. Okay. I am going to use some leaves at the top of my pumpkin, so I have some little fake leaves. And then either you're going to need some cinnamon sticks or just random sticks that you found out in your yard, whatever size you want, okay? And then lastly, you will need some scissors, okay? So, I'll move all this out of my way. I'm going to use this lighter shade of orange. It is completely up to you which shade you want to use. This is just going to be my preference, so, okay. It did not come out like your normal yarn. It did not come out through the end. I can have it do that way, but just to let you know, the feeder did start off like in the middle. So, I'm just going to wind that around and tuck that in because it's easier for it if it comes out the end of your yarn. So that way you don't have it rolling all over the floor, okay? Alright. So it doesn't matter which yarn you use, what kind of yarn you use. There's a Chanel yarn, there's all kinds of yarns. Just if you use a fuzzier, finer yarn, it will break whenever you give some tension to it, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to use mine on the smallest tension, so this is the tightest tension, medium tension, and loosest tension. So whenever you're doing this, your tensions varies on how big your holes are going to be in between your stitches. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to do mine on the smallest. And we're going to do 30 stitches, okay? So our little timer that's over here, our little counter, you're going to do it up to 30, okay? So we need to find our white peg. Let's see if you can see that. Our white peg is right there. Let's see if I can move my counter a little bit closer. It's a little bit. Alright, so we're going to need to find this white peg right here, and that is the end of our count. So this was the first one of the new count, okay? So when casting on, you're going to take your yarn and you're going to leave enough so that way whenever we get to the end we have some pull space. And we're going to go in and out of the yarn, of the needles, okay? So under one, behind one, under one, behind one, and continue that till you get all the way back to the white peg, okay? So this one I'm starting under, behind, or in front, behind, so that way you can remember in front, behind, and front and behind. And you want to make sure you do not drop a stitch because this is your cast on spot, okay? And this one we have to do very slowly for casting on. As you get better and more practice with it, you can go faster, but I'm going very slowly to demonstrate somebody who's just starting, okay? Alright, so now we're back to our white peg. We're going to go behind that, okay? So when we get to the white peg, all we're going to do is slide it through the feeder right here. Make sure it comes all the way down, and make sure we go into that that one that's closest. Oops, thank you. Closest to the machine, okay? Now we're just going to continue to wind. Whenever you first start winding, you want to make sure that you are going slowly till you build up like the first 3 or 4 rows. Once you build up the first few rows, then you can go much faster, okay? Make sure your counter's at 0 because your cast on doesn't count, and we need 30 rows, okay? Okay, so that's the end of my 5th row. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my feet are very centered, sorry, not centered, very suction, because they do have little suction cups, because I don't want them moving. And then you're just going to wind on through, okay? So that is our 30. So this pumpkin right now is about that wide. So if you want to make them longer, bigger, you can make them that. I do in sections of 10. I think he's a little on the squatty side. So I'm going to do another round of 10 to make them 40. So you make them however you want. Just keep in mind that as of right now, my pumpkin is only that tall. So I'm going to make them a little bit bigger, okay? Okay, so now we're at 40 lengths. My pumpkin is much bigger now. He's about the size of my hand, the width of my hand. So we're going to cast off now, okay? So for casting off, you unhook from your tension line, and then what you're going to do is take this out of the feeder and it goes behind your first peg here, okay? So you have your white peg, and it's going to go behind this peg here. We're not feeding any more into this. We're actually going to cast off, okay? So now you're going to need a pretty good tail for your cast off. So we're just going to take that and throw that in the middle, and we're going to go around this one time, okay? Okay, we're back to the white peg, okay? Now we're going to take our knitting needle, voila, and we're going to take our tail and we're going to put it through here, just like that, okay? Now we're going to go in and we're going to pick up each of these stitches. So where this would have normally been on that stitch, we're going to slide the needle through that spot. And I usually do about 5 at a time. Whoop, let go. Okay. You can also turn the handle. I just like turning the machine. To me, it's easier that way. And I can just pick up my stitches and continue on. So all we're going to do is pull the needle through, and we're going to close this end. And when you're closing it in, make sure you roll it down, because it will have a tendency to roll inward. Okay, so we're going to get it as tight as we can. So that's that. And we're going to do a couple of stitches at the end just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And usually what I like to do is I like to go all the way around one more time, just slowly adding stitches in. Alright. Okay, so we know that's not going to go anywhere. So what we're going to do is take the needle off of that, flip it, and then we're going to fill the center with the polyfill, and then we're going to gather it back with this small one, okay? So we're going to take the polyfill and we're just going to fill the inside of our pumpkin. Now as you're filling it, keep in mind you're going to have to gather it at the top. So you want it full, but you don't want it overstuffed, okay? So now the same process we did at the bottom, we're going to do at the top. So we're going to take and we're going to pull, we're going to take our needle, we're going to put it through the yarn through, and then we're going to pull the top just like we did the bottom. And if you're saying that you need, oh, I think my pumpkin needs more fluff, you can always add more fluff to your pumpkin, more polyfill to your pumpkin, okay? But it's kind of hard to gauge whenever you're first putting it in there without the top being tightened. And what I do is I go in and flatten it with the back of my hand, so that way I can decide if it needs more stuffing, which I may end up adding a little bit more. Let's try half that. And then the other half. Alright, give it another pull. Alright, so that's what our pumpkin looks like right now. I know, not much of a pumpkin, but that's where the string comes in. So we are going to give our pumpkin shape now, okay? So what we're going to do is go from here to the center, back up, and then keep crossing it back and forth until we get the pumpkin shape, okay? The reason why we keep this down here is obviously this is not very long. We're going to run out of yarn probably midway through, and the reason why we keep this is so that way we can have extra. Alright, come on, needle. And sometimes with the polyfill, your needle doesn't quite go through all the way, and you will have to put your finger down the hole to figure out what's going on. So if you can't get your needle through, like I couldn't, there's also ways around that. So we're going to take that and we're going to go right through the middle. Through the middle. See? Straight through. Pull it. Whoops. I crisscrossed. I don't want to do that. Alright. And then give it a little tug. So this is going to flatten your middle and give your pumpkin the pumpkin-y shape, okay? And then we're going to go right back up to the top and go through the middle of that. Make sure you're aligning your thread. And I would do on average about 6 to 8 of these little sections. Depends on how big your pumpkin is, you know. So you can see it has the pumpkin shape to it. If you want to add some more little sections, you can. I think I'm good at 6. So what I'm going to do is just loop this back through. And then you can tie it off here. Well, I said you can tie it off there. If the thread was cooperate with me. Alright, yarn rather. And then we're just going to make a simple little knot. And I always double knot just because I have kids and I've always double knotted all my life. So we're going to double knot. Alright. So we're going to cut this part off here. And then this part we don't need at the bottom, so we're just going to tie it off too. Now you're just going to give your pumpkin some shaping. Move that polyfill around, move your lines around if you have to. Just make sure it's the shape you want, like a little pumpkin. Alright, so now we're going to come to the pieces of wood. So, you can, like I said, if you have a cinnamon stick, you can definitely use a cinnamon stick. I just found these out in the grass in front of the library, so we're just going to put those like that. And then I have these little leaves. I'm going to use some of our yarn that we had. So we're just going to take it, tie it like that. You can also hot glue it if you want to hot glue it. And there is our pumpkin for the holidays. Thank you again for joining us for this edition of Make It Monday at the Box Springs Library. Remember to come out and check out our Discovery Lab Makerspace. It is new to the library, and we have all kinds of machines and items that you can use, from the knitting machine to a Cricut, a 3D printer, embroidery machine, sewing machine. There's all kinds of items available for you to use, and they're free with your library card, your Box Springs library card. So remember to show us your, remember to share your creations. We love seeing them. Like, comment, share, and until next time, bye-bye.